Hello, everyone. Welcome to another session of Science Notes with Mr. Severson. I'm Mr. Severson, undeclared cousin to famous Bob Ross. Today, we're going to cover some of the major concepts of clouds and how to make them. And to create this little drawing, we're going to need a couple of things to go ahead and get ourselves started. Some of the major vocab that we're going to need to include in this project is things like thermal energy, some evaporation, condensation, smidge of precipitation, a touch of the states of matter, and quite a bit of molecules. Some of the other materials we're going to need is you're going to need your science notebook on a fresh page and something to write with. For those of you who would like to go a little bit more, please feel free to grab some colored pencils and markers to make this as spectacular as possible. It's up to you. But let's go ahead and get started with our drawing as we create a happy little cloud. So we're going to start here by drawing in a happy little cloud on your notebooks. This should be about half to 3/4 of your notebook. So go ahead and draw in that happy little cloud. Oof, that's a bit of a stretch. All right, so now we've got that happy little cloud as our base. Now, in order to make this cloud, we need a couple of things. The first thing that we need to include is some water, especially from evaporation. So I'm going to write in some evaporation here. So what's going on in evaporation is I'm going to draw in two happy little boxes here. Kind of like a before and after. And before evaporation happens, we've got these water molecules. We're going to draw them in as fun, happy-go-lucky little dots down here. Now, they are starting off as water, and particularly liquid water. So those molecules are going to be really close together. They're going to be like happy little friends, or like cows in the pasture trying to huddle together. So they're going to be nice and close right there. Now what's going to happen is we're going to have the big old sun come in here, and it's going to rain down its happy little rays. And we're going to then add energy. So as this sun is raining down, it's going to add in some heat energy, some thermal energy. And what's going to happen is all these little molecules, they're going to get a little too hot. They're going to need to move around and break away from everyone to kind of cool off. So they're going to start to spread out, just like a bunch of happy-go-lucky classmates after the final bell has rang. And they're going to be going off in every which direction because they've just got so much fun little energy. And because they're moving in every direction and have so much energy, they're no longer a liquid. They have now turned into a gas. Just like how if you've got the shower going or you see some steam coming off of a boiling pot, you've got that gaseous air, that water vapor, and now that's starting to travel up. So that's our evaporation, and that's our first step. Now as that evaporation goes up into the sky, starting to cool off a bit because as things go up or as hot things rise up, they tend to cool off when they get to the top. And when it gets up to a certain point, it's going to cool off to the point where it's going to go through what's called condensation. Condensation is a pretty cool process, no pun intended. We're going to draw in a couple of happy little boxes here again, like another before and after to show our fun little water molecules. And we're going to gently draw in a bunch of spaced out water molecules or little dots. Now remember, they still have a lot of energy from evaporation, so they're going to be all over the place. So let's make sure we include some smooth arrows in here to show all the movement that's going on. And we'll label that as a gas so we know what that is. Now, as it gets up there, it cools off. And if you recall, cooling off means it's losing energy, Just like how when you feel cold, it's not because cold is entering you, it's just because all the heat is left. And it's gone off to heat up something else. So all that energy is now leaving. It's going back out, back into the happy little air. So as we lose energy, those molecules are going to be just like you, how when you get cold, you may bring in your arms and legs together to kind of huddle up. Those molecules are going to huddle up into a nice, cozy little liquid again. There we go. Gently drawing them back in. Make sure they still don't touch. We want them to be close, but not quite touching. There we go. So now we're back to our liquid there because all of our molecules are close together, but not quite in a solid shape yet. Now, as they go through this cloud, some clouds are happy just as they are, just floating around doing what they do. Sometimes they bunch up together and grow a little bit more, and they get so heavy with water, they go through this last thing called precipitation. Now, precipitation is pretty simple. We've still got our water as either a liquid or sometimes, especially out here in the wintertime, it can then turn into a solid where it actually takes on its own separate shape. And when it turns into a solid, it can be a couple of different things. It can be things like a fun little snowflake. Sometimes it's a little bit of some sleet, which is like small little crusty bits of ice. And sometimes it can even turn into a big old ball of hail. Hopefully it just falls on the ground and does not dent anyone's car roofs. A lot of times though, if it stays as a liquid, it will just fall down to the earth as liquid rain. So precipitation is just any type of water that's falling out of the sky. I'll write that in here with it. And that's how we make a fun, happy little cloud. And the process repeats itself. Once the rain falls down, it evaporates back up, condenses back, goes through condensation, falls to the ground as precipitation, and it creates this happy little cycle that's great for everyone and keeps the water going. Unless, of course, you are like this happy little gentleman, who's right here on the side of the mountain. And it looks like he's about to get some unfortunate rain. So why don't we just finish up this picture by drawing him a nice little umbrella. So always keep an umbrella or a jacket in case it rains. And nice job. Thank you for joining me, everyone. Please feel free to refer back to this if you're confused on any of the concepts. And we look forward to seeing you next time. Have a wonderful day, everyone.